creation is flickering within me. The spark of creation is blazing in my blood. A bit of the fire that lit up the stars to bring life into the mud. The first inspiration, the spark of creation. I see a mountain and I want to climb it. I see a river and I want to leave shore. Where there was nothing, let there be something, something made by me. There's things waiting for me to invent them. There's worlds waiting for me to explore. I am an echo of the eternal cry of let there be. The spark of creation is burning bright within me. The spark of creation, it won't let me rest at all until I uncover or build or discover the thing that I can call my celebration of the spark of creation. The spark of creation, may it burn forever. The spark of creation, I am a keeper of the flame. We think all we want is a lifetime of leisure, each perfect day the same, endless vacation. Well, that's alright if you're a kind of crustacean, but when you're born with an imagination, sooner or later you're feeling the fire get hotter and higher. The spark of creation. I just want to take a moment and take this in and look at you guys. I'm really excited to be here. This is so cool. For me, this is so cool. Did you know you're a hand-picked audience? Like, I invited all of you to be here, so you're kind of like, I hand-picked you. So it's like the best audience you could ever have. And that's because you've either been my teacher, my mentor, my friend, my family member, and you're all amazingly important to me. And that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. And it's kind of a journey we're going to take together. So I hope you are ready to go on this little journey with me. You might be wondering, why now? Why do a cabaret now? Why here in this location? And why this haircut? I knew Dean's yeah, so I'm going to answer a lot of those questions. And you may not know, but this has been in the works for about 2 years, and that's because I did a show called Addams Family, and I played Gomez. And while I was doing the show, I did an accent and kind of a high, silly voice, and I damaged my left vocal cord, and it hemorrhaged. So in the business, we say I blew a vocal cord. So I had to have some surgery done. It took a while to figure out what was wrong, and I went to several doctors here. I ended up going to Indy, and they found out what it was, and they're like, oh, you're gonna have to have surgery. So when we talked about having the surgery, they always have to tell you all the things that could happen and could go wrong, and they're like, well, we could nick a vocal cord, or you may not be able to sing like you do now, or you may not be able to speak as much as you do now. And those were really scary issues for me because I use my voice in teaching and singing and performing and directing, and most importantly, yelling at children. You know that's true. So I'm kind of famous for this thing that I have that I do to get kids' attention. And the school I work at, there's like 650 students. I think there's more than that now. But I have this thing where I go, yo! And so other teachers are always like, can we patent that yo? Can we record it? Can we? So I was afraid I'd lose my yo, and so when I was talking to them about it, I told Suzanne and Jeannie and Lene, I said, I really wish I had some recordings of me singing in case it, doesn't sound the same after we're done. And they're like, okay, well, when everything's done, then we'll figure a way you can do a cabaret and we'll record it. So that's why we're here today. What I didn't know is after the surgery is done and everything, then I was like fine with not doing the cabaret. I was like, yeah, that's okay. I don't need to do that. But they really pushed me to spread my wings and try something different. So I'm 57 years old. I've never done a cabaret, so I guess it's about time. So that's why we're here this evening. The song that I just sang, Spark of Creation, when I heard that, it's from a musical called Children of Eden. And for me, it really speaks to the fact that a little bit of that from creation, a little bit of that is in my blood, that it's in my system. If you know me at all, you know I have to be directing a play or working on a set or, you know, planning lessons at school or flash mobs, or I'm always continually having to do something. And if I'm not doing any of those things, then I'm probably building barn doors or a pergola on my deck or something like that, because I just always have to be creating. And that's why that song spoke to me. And there's a line in it that says, the spark of creation is burning within me and I can't rest at all. And that's where the title came from, because it's true. I can't sleep at night. You can ask Suzanne. I can't sleep at night. I get up at 3. I have an idea. I'm writing it on a napkin or a gum wrapper. But that's where the title came from. So because of that, wanting to create and wanting to be involved all the time, I had an idea about 12 years ago to start a community theater group. I'm like, that would be really awesome. And because for a while I was traveling to different places and directing shows. And I'm like, that'd be so cool if I had a place and people would come there. But people were like, you don't have the money to do that. And you don't have anywhere to hold rehearsal. And you can't do that because South Bend Civic does that. So I was very frustrated. I'm like, oh, I guess that's just not gonna work. I guess I can't do that. But then one day I just thought, what would happen if I just tried it? You know, what would I lose if I just tried? And maybe I'll only do one show, or maybe we just do 1 year. But I wanted to just try it. And Main Stage has been in business for 12 years now, so that's pretty awesome. Yay! So this song is a song that kind of goes along with everybody telling me I couldn't do it, and it's called Everybody Says Don't. Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't. It isn't nice, don't, it isn't right. Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't walk on the grass, don't disturb the peace, don't skate on the ice. I say do, I say walk on the grass it was meant to feel, I say sail, tilt with windmill, and if you fail, you fail. Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't get out of line. When they say that, then that's a sign. 9 times out of 10, you're doing just fine. Just a ripple, come on, be brave. This time a ripple, next time a wave. Sometimes you have to start small, climbing the tiniest wall. Maybe you're going to fall, but it's better than not starting at all. Everybody says no, everybody says stop, everybody says mustn't rock the boat, mustn't touch a thing. Everybody says don't, everybody says stop, everybody says can't fight City Hall, can't upset the cart, can't laugh at the king. But I say try, I say laugh at the king so they'll make you cry. Lose your poise, fall if you have to, but lady make a noise. Everybody says don't, everybody says stop, everybody says wait around for miracles. That's the way the world is made. I insist on miracles. If you do them, miracles, nothing to them. I say don't be afraid. Thank you very much. Rob Ryan on the piano. So I'm going to kind of walk through some stories of my life tonight. And when I was a young performer, after I went to music school, and one of the first jobs that I had was I worked at the Round Barn Theater in Napanee. And they're an awesome theater company. I learned tons of stuff from them. We were doing a show called Fiddler on the Roof, and I was in the chorus. And then we had some other shows in the season that we were doing too. And they had hired an older gentleman, and when I say older gentleman, he was probably like my age now, to play the part of Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof. So when we weren't on stage or we were in a rehearsal, when he was sitting in the auditorium, I would always go and talk to him and strike up a conversation with him. So one day he was like, "So what parts have you played in musicals?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I played Billy Bigelow in Carousel." And he's like, "Oh, I played that part." And I was like, "Okay." And then he's like, "What else did you play?" And I'm like, "I played Sky Masterson in Guys and Dolls." He's like, "Yeah, I played that part too." Okay. Then I'm like, "I played Freddie Eynsford Hill in My Fair Lady." And he's like, "Yeah, I played that part too." And all of a sudden, I had a theatrical epiphany that someday I was going to be an overweight, balding Jewish man in a musical. But I'd never thought about the path that we travel as an actor or a performer. I just always thought I was going to be the male lead in every musical that I could get a part in. But I didn't think about the whole aging process. So what that started me doing was thinking about what roles I would have to play before a certain age. And that's just something performers and actors do. And you're like, it's coming up on this age, I'm not going to get to play that part. And so tonight, I'm going to use you as a captive audience. And I'm going to sing some songs from parts that I haven't gotten to play yet. And hopefully I'll get to. So the first one is from the musical Man of La Mancha. And the song is The Impossible Dream. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars. I'm trying. Sorry. It was a toss-up when we were trying to think of the title. It was either can't rest at all or I like to sing long notes. That's just implied. Another show that I want to do, another part that I want to play, is something that I've auditioned for a couple of times and didn't quite get the part. So I want to sing a song from that show because of that reason, and also because it's like Dean's favorite musical. So everybody wave at Dean. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Dean.
So the show, of course, is Les Miserables. And the part that I would like to play is Javert. He's the inspector. So he's Javert is very concrete sequential, which is not me at all. But that's why it's called acting. So if you don't know the story, Javert his life's passion is to track down Jean Valjean. And he will not let anything get in his way. And during the course of the show, while he's pursuing Jean Valjean, he sings a song and he talks about how the stars are constant and they're always come out at the right time and the right season. And that's very similar to the way that he feels about his passion for bringing Jean Valjean to justice. So, and I think that I might get to play this part someday because Javert is 52. So I think with the right plucking and dyeing and dieting that I might be able to pull that off. So the problem is that Dean and I would both want to play the same part. So, but somebody gets to be the director. So this is Stars from Les Miserables. Out in the darkness, a fugitive running, fallen from God, fallen from grace. God be my witness, I never shall yield till we come face to face, till we come face to face. He knows his way in the dark, mine is the way of the Lord. And those who follow the path of the righteous shall have their reward. And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flame, the sword, in your multitude, scarce to be counted, filling the darkness with order and light. You are the sentinel, silent and sure, keeping watch in the night, keeping watch in the night. You know your place in the sky, you hold your course and your aim, and each in your season returns and returns, and is always the same. And if you fall as Lucifer fell, you fall in flames, and so it shall be, and so it is written in the doorway to paradise, that those who falter and those who fall must pay the price. Lord, let me find him, that I might see him safe behind bars. I will never rest till then. This I swear, this I swear by the stars. going on about being an actor, one thing that I really fall in love with is the fact that when you're an actor and you get to play different parts, you get to explore other people's reactions and feelings to a different situation. So if you maybe came to see Beauty and the Beast, you saw Mimi Lumiere, and I had my arms up for like 2 hours and awkward and had a French accent and was very silly. And so that was an exercise in being something that I wasn't. And Addams Family that I spoke of before is a silly show. But it's interesting to get to explore different characters and their feelings. Sweeney Todd is another character that hopefully is not like me, that I really enjoyed playing. So the next song that I'm going to do is kind of a testimony to that, and it is a song called What Kind of Fool Am I? And I am really blessed and lucky to have a wife and children and grandchildren, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like for somebody who didn't find love in their life and they were questioning why they never found love. What kind of fool am I, who never fell in love? It seems that I'm the only one that I was thinking of. What kind of man is this? An empty shell, an empty cell in which an empty heart must dwell. What kind of lips are these that lie with every kiss, have spoken words of love that left me alone like this? Why can't I fall in love like any other man? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. What kind of clown am I? What do I know of life? When will I cast away this mask of clay and live my life? Why won't I fall in love till I don't give a damn? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. See, long notes. I want to take a minute and talk about my family. I did tell you that I have a wife. There's my wife Suzanne, and children over here, and grandchildren, and so I'm very lucky. So I'm going to take the next couple of songs to kind of celebrate them. One reason that I want to celebrate them is that they've allowed me for the last 27 years to pursue my passion. And it seems like, yay, that's an awesome thing that they did. But what you don't think about is me singing like this, in the dining room or, at the house, and when they're trying to do homework or when they go to bed or things like that. So that was something they had to contend with all of their life. What we actually did, our house will be 100 years old next year, so what they did is they turned the coal bin downstairs into a music room. So they would send me downstairs to the coal bin, and then I would sing down there, and that way it didn't keep them awake. So it's a pretty interesting thing. But I'm going to have my two children, Laurel and Dexter, come up here with me now. And I'm going to tell a little story that came up. So one of the greatest joys that I have is because they were exposed to theater all the time. As they grew up, we got to perform in some musicals together. Legally Blonde, Joseph, and you have to sit on either side. You should have known. I'm downstage center, and so we did several musicals together, and that was really a joy for me to not only get to direct them, but to get to work with them. So that was something that's awesome. Today I'm going to tell you a little story. And as like every father and mother, they have lullabies that they sing to their children. So when I started singing to the kids, we just kind of fell into a pattern. There's a couple that they really liked and they wanted to hear, or I liked to hear myself sing. So so we did them over and over. And so then years and years went by, and I think they were probably in high school. And Johnny Depp did this movie, and we went to the movie theater, and we were sitting just like we are right now in the movie theater, and in the middle of the movie, this song started to play, and in perfect stereo, they turned to me, and they're like, "Our song is from Sweeney Todd." So, the song that I'm speaking of is Not While I'm Around, which is a beautiful lyric number that happens midway in the show. Now, if you know what the show's about, it is about a serial killer who is a barber. He kills people and he drops them through the floor into a pie shop downstairs, and Mrs. Lovett bakes them into meat pies and sells them to the city, and people eat them. But that's where our song's from, So it happens. But it is a really nice song. So we're going to recreate this little moment here in the movie theater. So look, you get popcorn. There we go. Dexter can't eat it, but he can hold it. It's a prop anyway. So can you guys do that thing where you lean in and say, "Our song is from Sweeney Todd"? Wait for it.
Our song is from Sweeney Todd.
And that's just how it was.
He has a beard too.
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, no sir, not while I'm around. Demons are prowling everywhere nowadays. I'll send them howling, I don't care, I've got ways. No one's gonna hurt you, no one's gonna dare. Others can desert you, not to worry, whistle, I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but Being close and being clever ain't like being true. I don't need to, I would never hide a thing from you. Like some, no one's gonna hurt you, no one's gonna dare. Others can desert you, not to worry, whistle, I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but in time, nothing can harm you. Not while I'm around. What are you doing, Dad? Yeah, it does seem kind of different now. You got my back now. Right? So. I told him though, I go, can you bring a suit to wear? I maybe could have been more specific on that. But you're not supposed to outflash me, so. Yeah. So, I do have these wonderful children, but I also have a wonderful wife who has put up with me for 35 years. Is that right? This year, 35 years. Yeah, it's crazy to think of. So what happened is yeah, there we are. Yep, that's us. So I think this is probably circa 1980, and I knew there was a gas shortage in the 80s, but I didn't know there was a food shortage. I mean, come on. What did we weigh, like 90 pounds each? Crazy. Yeah. Yep, so that's us. So we actually, we met in high school and we went to the prom together. So, and the funny story, Laurel later when she was asked to the prom, and she told this guy she didn't want to go with him. And I'm like, well, you like him, why don't you want to go to the prom with him? And she's like, I don't want to marry him. So in her mind, because her mom and I had gone to the prom and then we got married, she thought that's what everyone did. So, but it doesn't happen to everyone like that. So, so Suzanne is actually the only girl that I ever asked out that said no. So she said no to me 3 times, so I had dated all of her friends. So, so she was pretty smart, and she was like, yeah, no, she didn't want that. So, but in true Jon manipulative fashion, I was like, hey, a bunch of us are going to see a movie on Friday. Do you want to go? And she's like, a bunch of us? I'm like, yeah. So she said yes, and the bunch of us was just us 2. But it worked. So, and 35 years later, we are here. So her favorite musical is Camelot, and that's another musical that I haven't got to do, or another role. But so I'm going to sing If Ever I Would Leave You, and I'm going to dedicate that to her. If ever I would leave you, it wouldn't be in summer. Seeing you in summer, I never would go. Your hair streaked with sunlight, your lips red with flame, your face with a luster that puts gold to shame. But if I ever leave you, how could it be in autumn? tints the air. I know you in autumn, and I must be there. And could I leave you running merrily through the snow, or on a wintry evening when you catch the fire's glow? If ever I would leave you, how could it be in springtime, knowing how in spring I'm bewitched by you so? Oh no, not in springtime, summer, winter, or fall. No, never could I leave you at all. I'm really lucky to have such a wonderful immediate family, but even more than that, I come from an awesome family. There were 5 kids in our family, and we were all very close. An interesting fact is that we all went away to go to school and do different things, and every single one of us came back here and lived in Mishawaka, or South Bend, close to my parents. And I think that's a huge testimony to the strength of what they brought us up in the family structure. And there's a huge age gap. My oldest brother, Bob, is 18 years older than me, because I was the baby, so. Oh, I'm only 50 now? Okay, I'll take it. Yeah, they're all doing the math now, so they're figuring out. But so at one point in time, all 5 of us lived in a house, and da-da-da-da, there it is, 141 West Marion Street, and that was our house. And for a while, we all lived in that house together. During that time, while we were all there were 2 bedrooms and then kind of an open foyer upstairs that my parents slept in, and then the 2 boys had a room, the 2 girls had a room, and I slept in the hallway in a crib till I was 6. So I maybe would have been 7 feet tall, we don't really know. But I had to wait till my brothers left the house so that I could actually move out of the hallway and have a place to sleep. But I have incredible, awesome memories of that family and growing up in that house, and the things that I learned, and meal times together. And every Sunday, my mom would cook dinner, and all of us kids would go to her house on Sunday evening, and we would all have dinner together, and we would get to hear what we were doing. And so over the years, it went from just the 5 of us to then we all got married, and then we all had children. So there'd be times when there'd be like 35 or 40 of us there, all in this little house together. And my dad would send the kids down there. He's like, they need to go down there. So the kids would go in the basement. But we had an amazing family, and my mom would cook huge meals, and I always kid her that she had the parade of desserts, because she would make whatever dessert each kid wanted. So Gary liked pineapple upside down cake, so he got that. So everybody got different desserts. So it was just a great family structure and a great way to grow up. Unfortunately, my parents passed away, and we had to sell the house on Marion Street. And then my sister also passed away. So there's many times that I think about the house on Marion Street and the times that we had together there. And I really wish that I could go back there. And I know I can't. I know that I can never return back to that house and those days. but I definitely have a longing to return to that place, and that place of security and love. And the name of this song is Going Home. Lying all alone, I'm dreaming, staring at the sky. I wonder, since I've been away, I'm lonely when I'm gonna go back home. Walking through the world, things happen right before your eyes. Things happen, suddenly you're lost and thinking, when I'm gonna go back home. Oh me, oh my, time goes slow. Where's it gone to? I don't know. But maybe times will turn. I pray so. Maybe someday I'll get lucky. Someone's gonna say, all right, son, take a train and go back home. Hop a freight and go back home. Oh me, oh my, time goes slow. Where's it gone to? I don't know. But maybe times will turn. I pray so. Maybe someday I'll get lucky. Someone's gonna say, all right, son, take the train and go back home. Hop a freight and go back home. I have to stop here and give acknowledgement to some amazing people. So when I talked about 2 years ago when having my surgery, I would travel down to Indy. So for 2 weeks, I couldn't say a single solitary word, nothing, nada. So Suzanne took me away to Mississippi because she's like, okay, people come to see you every day. She's like, there's no way you're not gonna be able to talk. So we spent time in Mississippi, and that way I didn't talk, and people started doing sign language to me, and I was like, I'm not deaf, I just can't talk. So, and there was one time though that Suzanne asked me a question like, where's this sweater or something? I'm like, it's over, and then we both were like, ah! Like, I opened my mouth, and we shouldn't. But other than that, I was really good. I followed because I wanted everything to be okay. So then I would travel to Indy every other week and for therapy and work with a vocal coach. And I finally asked him, I said, so when am I going to have my old voice back? When it will be, the same? And the lady was like, never. And I was like, what? So they said, you really probably should find a voice teacher to study with. was like, okay, I'm 55, who am I going to study with? So I called Bethel College, and I found Miss Victoria Garrett, who's back there, wave. Is it okay if I... So I felt like I was doing okay, so I could give you a little credit here. So is that okay? So I've been so blessed to work with her. I came to her, and we had already contracted to do the Sweeney Todd musical before I had all my surgery and everything. And I'm like, I came to her and I'm like, I gotta play this role, Sweeney Todd, and and she was like, oh, okay, well let's work on this and this, and she was just so chill about it. And then like later after Sweeney Todd was done, she was like, I was so scared. She's like, I didn't want to ruin you. But she never let on, and she's an amazing teacher. And one thing I like to say about her is I go for my voice lesson, which is really only supposed to be a half hour, but like 2 hours later, I'm still there. And she's a great counselor and psychotherapy and all kinds of stuff. And she's just such a joy to work with. So if you've enjoyed what you heard, then give her some applause here. Really good. And then the other person is, this is the last song of the first set. So I have to give homage to the other voice teacher that I had. And people are like, where did you learn to sing notes so long? And I'm like, well, I got that from my very first voice teacher. And they're like, who was that? And I'm like, Miss Barbara Streisand. So as a child, what I would do is, back in the day, we had a stereo, which was actually like a piece of furniture. It was like wooden, you had to polish it and stuff. And it had like a record player, and you would put 33s on, you've seen them before, and then they would drop down. They could put it, like I would put a stack this big, and then they would drop down one at a time. And I would sit there with my back against that stereo all day long, and just listen to Barbra Streisand records, and I would sing along with it. And my mom would always try to get me to go outside, but I would have nothing to do with that. She even locked me outside a couple of times. No, she did. But it was a different time then. That was totally okay. Let's not be judging her. So. But as for my closing song for this first half, I'd like to do a Barbra Streisand song for you. Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. The candy in the jar and full of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to fly, I simply have to. If someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade? I'll march my band out, I'll beat my drum, and if I'm fanned out, your turn at bat, sir. At least I didn't fake it, hat, sir. I guess I didn't make it, but whether I'm the rose of sheer perfection, a freckle on the nose of life's complexion, a cinder or the shiny apple of its eye, I gotta try once, I gotta fly once, only can die once, right, sir? Ooh, life is juicy, juicy, and you'll see, I gotta have my bite, sir. Get ready for me, love, cause I'm a comer. I simply gotta march, my heart's a drummer. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. I'm gonna live and live now, get what I want, I know how. One roll for the whole shebang, one roll the bell will go clang. Eye on the target and wham, one shot, one gunshot and bam! Hey, look at me, world, here I am. I'll march my band out, I'll beat my drum, and if I'm fanned out, your turn at bat, sir. call me love, cause I'm a comer. I simply gotta march, my heart's a drummer. No, nobody is gonna rain on my parade. Bye-bye. So you've been really awesome for sitting through all that. So I know you want to get up and get a drink, because I would if I could. And I wanted to let you know that after we're done, we're going to do a second half, and it's going to be a lot of fun because I'm having some friends come up and join me and do some more contemporary stuff. But we're going to have a reception at the main stage, which is on Main Street in Mishawaka, after we're done. And Suzanne's made like 8 dozen cookies or more than that. I don't know. 30 dozen cookies. So everyone needs to be there. And you all have a number of cookies. Someone do the math. Ingalls. One of the Ingalls can do the math. So, yeah. So, second half, a lot of fun, group numbers, and then we're going to do cookies afterwards. Go to the bar now. Thank you. You're an amazing, awesome audience. Shall be back. Right here, right now, I put you on the ride. I don't want to chase around. I know you see it. You run with me, and I can cut you free from all the drudgery and walls that keep you so trained and typical, or something colorful. And if it's crazy, live a little crazy. You can play it fictional, king of conventional, or you can risk it all and see. Don't you wanna find a way? All the parts you gotta play. You got what you need, so come with me and take a ride to the other side. You can do like you do, or you can do like me. Stay in the cage till you finally take the key. Oh, damn, suddenly you're free to fly to the other side.
Hey, my friend, so you wanna cut me in? Well, I hate to tell you, but it just won't happen. So thanks, but no, I think I'm good to go. 'Cause I quite enjoy the life you say I'm trapped in. Now I admire you, and that'll show you do. You're onto something, really is something. But I live among the swells, and we don't pick up peanut shells. I'll have to leave that on to you. Don't you know that I'm okay with this up, down part I get to play? 'Cause I got what I need, so I don't need to take a ride. I don't need to see the other side, so go and do like you do. I'm good to do like me, not in a cage, so I don't need to take the key. Oh, damn, can't you see I'm doing fine? I don't need to see the other side.
Tell me how you'd like to spend your day. Whiskey and misery, parties and plays.
If I were mixed up with you, I'd be the talk of the town, disgraced and disowned, another one of the clowns.
But you would finally live a little, finally laugh a little. Just let me give you the freedom to dream, and it'll wake you up. Cure your intent, tear your walls, start on shaking. Now that's a deal that seems worth taking. But I guess I'll leave that up to you.
Now it's intriguing, but to go would cost me greatly. So what percentage of the show will I be taking?
Fair enough, you want a piece of all the action. I'll give you 7, we can shake and make that happen.
I wasn't born this morning, 18 would be just fine.
Why not just go ahead and offer nickels on the dime?
15,
Maybe 8,
12,
9,
10. Don't you wanna get away to a whole new part you gotta play? 'Cause I got what you need, so come with me and take a ride to the other side.
If you can do like you do,
Or you can do like me. Don't need a cage, 'cause we know how to make the key. Oh, damn, can't you see we're free to fly? We're going to the other side. So you can do like you do.
to the This song was from The Greatest Showman. How many people saw The Greatest Showman? Only Vicky. Vicky hasn't seen it yet. So when the movie came out, people all the time, they were like texting me and Facebook and all kinds of stuff like, this movie is all about you. This movie's about you. And I was like, I don't do anything with a circus. I was so confused. So, but then I finally went to see it, and in this song that we did, they actually do like 12 shots or something like that while they're singing and dancing, and I'm like, oh, that's why people were thinking of me. Or maybe it's the whole P.T. Barnum, and he had the spark of creation, and he was, following his passion. No, I really think it's the shots. So Riley is segueing from that, Riley is a Horizon student that I had in years past. He is in his master's program now at Ball State. And a really cool thing that has happened in my life is that people that I have as students, as children, they grow up and then I get to be friends with them and work with them. So that's a pretty amazing thing. Riley is the most confident, multi-talented, smart person that I've ever had. There's really not anything he can't do. So he can do sports and music both. I mean, really, he can. It's amazing. So he has followed us to main stage, and if you saw Beauty and the Beast, he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. So, but his So his one claim to fame, though, is that he continually corrects me, and whenever I make a mistake, he's on it. He knows, and he will tell me right away, won't you? Yeah. So, we're gonna have a whole conversation, I know, after this is done. He's gonna be like, you did this, and you did that, you missed these words. So, but I love him for that. He keeps me humble. He keeps me in line. When he was in school at Horizon, he was the same way. Like second grade, same way. I mean, he would just tell me what for. But it was really endearing. Back in the day before we had Amazon and ordering and stuff like that, he was in class one day and he was Snoopy in the musical Dear Good Man, Charlie Brown. He played the part of Snoopy. So I don't really know, now that I think back on it, I don't know how this happened, but I was teaching a class and he was sitting at my desk looking at stuff on eBay. So, again, I don't know how that happened. But anyway.
I knew your password.
He did. He changed all my passwords. He was my cadet teacher when he was in high school, and he changed all my passwords to his name. So he was sitting at my desk, and he's in school probably like, what, fourth grade? Fourth grade?
I think it was fifth grade.
Fifth grade, okay. So he's like, look at this little Snoopy figurine. It was like Snoopy in a Hollywood sign or something. He's like, it's only a penny. Can I buy it? It's only a penny. Can I buy it? I'm like, whatever. Just buy it. So he bought it, and it really was a penny, and $35 to ship it. But I still have it, and it still sits on my desk. So, and then when it was the last day of school, Riley and I were so close that his fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Jackson, came down, and she's like, I'm gonna let him spend the whole day with you because I don't know how you guys are gonna make it when he had the last day of his fifth grade, and it was rough. It was a rough one, but it's so amazing that I still get to have him come back and do shows, and so this kind of dynamic that we did in the song is really the way that Riley and I really are. So thank you so much. You're awesome. So the next song that I'm going to sing, I'm going to have a little help from another student, and that's Josh. Josh, come on down. I've had Josh, I had him for 5 years at Horizon Elementary, and we used to do 2 musicals every year, so he was in every musical. Then we did a Christmas show, and then you were in show choir, right, when we had to start show choir. And then he came probably like 10 years ago to main stage and did Cinderella, and he was a mouse in Cinderella. And I think he's done almost every incarnation of shows we've done at main stage, and I bet he's probably been in like 40 or 50 shows, so that's awesome. And I also had all of his sisters too, his siblings, and they're just this great musical family, and you might catch them on Facebook they're playing instruments. Somebody's on the guitar and somebody's on the cello, and they're singing. And so they're kind of like the Von Trapp family of South Bend. But they are so talented. So another story, like when I had my surgery done for my voice, Andrew, where's Andrew at now? He moved, he shifted places. Okay, so Andrew, when I was explaining to him that I was gonna have vocal surgery and they were gonna do this, and he's like, so they're gonna give you a new vocal cord? And I'm like, no, they're gonna fix the vocal cord that's damaged, you know, but then I was like, wait, a new vocal cord? I'm like, if I could get a new vocal cord, I want Josh Ingalls. Did you know that story? Sorry. But I think I'm okay, but that was my thought. I'm like, if I could pick anyone, I would pick Josh Ingalls, because I always say that his voice is like butter. It's just so smooth. So the song we're gonna do is actually called Butter to Cream. That's funny. I didn't even realize that. Yay! And it's a father-son song, and they're kind of giving advice to each other. And in the theater world, when you are a director and you spend time with people in a show, many times you become their theater father, and that's become, I have a lot of children over the years, and they'll text me and say theater father, and it's a great relationship to have. So I'm so happy to have Josh as one of my surrogate sons. So this is Butter into Cream.
Remember that story I learned at your feet? Well, now it's my turn, take a seat. There once were two mice who were both renowned. One fell in some milk and then proceeded to drown. The other one still the toasted that sound, 'cause he made butter out of cream. He looked around, deduced his plight, said this is no way to spend a Saturday night. And he had the style to make things right, so he made butter out of cream. He kicked his legs up, he tossed and turned, so not to end up a ghost. He did the hokey pokey till the cream was churned, and baby, he walked right out and buttered his toast. Now he's on top for goodness sakes. Yeah, he's the big cheese up at Land O'Lakes, and he's living proof that Bob, all he takes is a scheme. So if you land in the gutter, just make butter out of cream. It's your turn, Dad.
No, you're doing fine.
Oh no, this is a duet. It's Frank and Dean. It's not a solo act.
There might be one story I haven't told you.
Oh really?
There was a cockroach from Brazil, got drunk at his local coffee mill. He thought his time was up until he made coffee out of beans. When he came to, he heard such a sound, much to his shock when he looked around. He had been scooped up and was about to be ground, so he made coffee out of beans. He stopped to the north and he marched to the south. He had to work against fate. He did the cucaracha while the tears went north, and then things began to percolate. He held his breath and swam to the top, borrowed some beans from his mom and pop. Now he's opened up his own coffee shop out in Queens. When his lights were almost off, he just made coffee out of beans.
Let's bring this one home, John.
Alright. So think of these two when life's the pits, the bug
And the mouse
at the end of their wits. They knew the key that life was and it's what you dream. So if lemon clogged your sink up, don't just stand around and scream. Spike your lemonade and drink up, and make butter out of cream. Just make butter out of cream.
Make some butter out of cream.
I hear what you're saying, son. I'll make butter out of cream.
Shadoo-ba-dee-da-doo-da-doo-da-doo-wop.
I've now heard every note in my range, the highest and the lowest. And maybe some I don't have. I'm going to stop here and talk for a little bit, and I want to talk about my college roommate, and his name is John Jubilee. And already in the back, they were like, when do I get to come sit on the stool? It's going to be a long night. You're all going to come up here at one time. So sit, sir, sit. He's never seen Sweeney Todd, so he's not threatened by that. So, have you seen Sweeney Todd? Oh. So John was my college roommate, and he is truly the most charismatic, outgoing, always positive, always encouraging person that I have ever met. And he had such an influence on my personality and my interaction with other people. And I don't even know that he knew it at the time, but we've talked about it since then. I met him because I was a music major, and you take a class called Piano Lab, which means 50 of you sit in a room and play the piano, and the teacher has headsets, and she'll drop in on you and see how you're doing every once in a while. So it was November, right? November here in South Bend. And this man walks into Piano Lab with shorts on. So, and you have to remember, it was like 1980 shorts, not like shorts we wear now, so they were like, and I was like, yeah, what is his problem? So, because if you know anything about me, if somebody's not wearing the right thing, I have got to fix it. I have got to take care of that situation. So I'm sure I struck up a conversation with him about that. So we became fast friends. And like I said, he was just so outgoing and amazing, and he had no fear. He would try anything, pursue anything, and I started modeling that behavior. I was like, I'm going to be like that too. Another time, he went away to a church camp, and it was a Pentecostal church camp. And so while he was there, he called me, and he's like, come down to southern Indiana to this Pentecostal church camp. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was Methodist, so I didn't know what Pentecostal church camp was. So I got there, and he took me to see the choir, and there was this big, amazing group of people, and they were singing, and they were a choir, and no one had sheet music, nary a soul. So I was like, what's going on? They all just knew the song, they knew the harmonies, they knew the parts to sing. So John tells the director that I'm a voice major, and that I could sing the solo. So, yeah. So the director is like, yes! Amen, and I'm like, well, I don't know the song. I don't know. He goes, oh, you know the song. It's The Blood. And I was like, The Blood. So, yeah. So no pressure. So then John found somebody to take me aside, and then for like the next hour or 2 hours, we sang it over and over and over and over again. And I actually did sing the solo in The Blood at a Pentecostal church camp. So again, because he's not afraid to push those boundaries, and he pushed me into doing that, which is a fantastic skill to have. So another thing is that when you're in college, you take a lot of that B.F. Skinner and psychology, and everybody remember that? So while I was taking psychology and learning things like Pavlov's dogs and conditional response, I found out that John really, really liked pizza. So being that my mom was such an amazing cook, I could dabble in that too. So I started making a pizza whenever I wanted him to come over. I'd be like, hey, I made a pizza. Hey, I made a pizza. And it always worked. He would always come over. But then years later, I call it the conditional response pizza, because if I said I made it, then he would come. So I was a little unsure whether he would make it here today or not. So I made a conditional response pizza for you. So there it is. It looks good too. So,
It's the same one.
it is. It's always the same. It's got all the same stuff, yeah. So in addition to all the things I did, I'm like, I gotta make a pizza, but you were worth it. So, but no, you're awesome and amazing. And most people say that musicals aren't believable. because people shouldn't spontaneously burst into song. But I always explain to people that the song is the communication of a message or a feeling that somebody has. So if you're around me long enough, you know that musical theater really does happen. Right, Rob? No one ever made me feel like someone till him. Life was really nothing but a glum one till him. My existence bordered on the tragic, always timid, never took a chance. Then I felt his magic, and my heart began to dance. I was always frightened, fraught with worry, till him. I was going nowhere in a hurry, till him. He filled up my empty life, filled it to the brim. There could never ever be another one like him. Always playing singles, never doubles, till him. Never had a pal to share my troubles, till him. He filled up my empty life, filled it to the brim. There could never ever be another one like him. We can use the pizza later. So what I didn't say is that Jon has a business. It's called Transformations, and he transforms people's lives. Like I'm not supposed to say this, but like celebrities and all kinds of people all over the world. Like today alone, he was in Las Vegas, and then he went to Dallas, and then tomorrow he's in Indianapolis. He was in Switzerland. I lost him for like 6 months one time. I was like, he was in Switzerland, and so he's always jetting all over, transforming people's lives, not only physically but spiritually. But I always tell him that I was really his first transformation, and he didn't really know it, but his effect on me, he transformed me into the person that you really see today. So I totally appreciate that.
Wow. Wow. That is the real pizza. I'm not kidding. It's exactly the same.
As it was in 1980.
1980.
But it's new.
Yeah, and I have to celebrate too. Suzanne was so beautiful that, here's Jon in music, and I met Suzanne in finite math. For those of you that don't know what finite math is, it's because really smart people are in finite math. And she's a really smart girl. And the only reason I got in class with Jon was I thought this class was music appreciation. So I'm an athlete, and I was more of a mathematic person like Suzanne and a scientist. So I thought they would play music, and I would say, I appreciate that. So I was really a little disconcerted. I actually had to learn to play the piano and do this type of thing. But when Jon came in there, obviously, you could see the potential, in this incredible young man at this time. And literally, for those of you that have got to experience him in life, this really is a life that's impacted thousands of students and thousands of parents that have had the pleasure that he's impacted your children. And I hope that in this community that you can appreciate the deep impact of, when you're with somebody all the time like you are, when you live in the same city, sometimes you don't appreciate him as much, right? I mean, even Jesus said, in your own city and in your own family, that's where you get the least amount of respect. And I really encourage you guys to realize the treasure of this couple. They're incredible. And Suzanne, your support of Jon all these years, don't take this wrong, Jon, but you're not easy to live with. and I know because he was my roommate. Does anyone know what high maintenance is? But do you also know that things that are high maintenance are always the most impactful things in life as well? And a Ferrari is high maintenance, and a Triple Crown winning racehorse is high maintenance. But they also are the ones that shine the brightest. And Jon, you really shine. You've impacted thousands of lives, and I'm honored to be your friend. So please appreciate this man for who he is. Give it up for us. Give it up for us.
Don't eat that. I haven't eaten all day, so don't eat that.
I want that pizza.
So this summer, I got the pleasure to go with the production team, Jeannie and Lene, to New York City, and we were there for 5 days, and we saw 8 musicals. Yeah! So it was an amazing trip, and we learned so much. We had classes during the day with Broadway performers, and then we would go see shows at night, and they had talkbacks where you could talk to the actors, and it was just an amazing few days. While we were there, I got to see the musical SpongeBob, the musical. And it was just so much fun. It was a huge party for your eyes and for your ears. It didn't get that great of reviews because, sometimes Broadway people want something a little more serious and dark. And so it didn't get great reviews, so it's going to close really soon. But it is a great story. Immediately when I sat down in the audience, SpongeBob reminded me of my friend Andrew. And if you know Andrew at all, he is actually like the funnest person ever. Like, this is the way I think about it. Do you ever go to a restaurant with somebody and they put french fries in their nose, that kind of thing? That is so something he would do. Like, he's always on, he is always funny. And he came and auditioned for Addams Family, and he was in Addams Family, and we became fast friends. So we just spent a lot of time together and had a lot of fun, and then he went away to Africa for 2 years on a mission trip. And while he was in Africa, everything that we did, whether we did a show at Main Stage, or whether it was going on a bike ride, or anything, I would always say, this is really fun, but it would be so much more fun if Andrew was here, because he just makes everything, that was good timing, see what I mean? Okay, so, when I thought about this song from SpongeBob, I'm like, oh, it has to be Andrew. I'll have to sing this song with Andrew. So this song is from SpongeBob, the musical, and it is called BFF. Oh, God. My dog has fleas. Oh, I can talk. I can still talk. So Josh is going to help us out again, like I said, from the Bomb Trap family, Josh. And this is Leah Cheddarborough, and she is also going to play the ukulele. And she was also my student at Horizon, and she choir and shows, and she's Jeannie's daughter. So, okay. stuck inside.
With no TV.
Being bored with you makes me as happy as can be. Let's have some fun together. You're my best friend forever. BFF, that stands for us. Life is sweet.
There's snacks we can eat.
We'll have fun if we go out, just sit around and do nothing.
This is fun.
Yeah, I like it. Let's explore, open every drawer.
Hey, you found my long lost cheese.
That's what friends are for. Let's have some fun together. You're my best friend forever. BFF, that stands for we're best friends and this is the friend. We're best friends and this is the friend. We're best friends and this is the friend. We're best friends and.
Sorry about the accent. That was great.
Every little thing that I can think of doing just sounds better. Doing it together. Every little thing that I can think of doing just sounds better. Doing it together. Doing it with you. Floating by like a bubble in the sky. Feeling good just like I should. And you're the reason why. Let's have some fun together. You're my best friend forever. BFF, that stands for us. This can't get any better. You're my best friend forever. BFF, that stands for us. BFF, that stands for us. BFF, that stands for SpongeBob and Patrick. That stands for us. Whoa. So as you can see, tonight's kind of a journey. Family and friends. And I'm going to call up a couple of really close friends of mine. And these young ladies, I met at Horizon. Laura Miller Scott came to Horizon. Horizon is so big, there's 650 students that I can't actually teach them all. So they always hire another teacher to teach 2 mornings a week, and then they travel to other schools. So Laura came, and I got to be friends with her and get to work with her for a year. And this year, they hired somebody else this year, is going to be my 10th person that I'll work with at Horizon. And what they don't, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have to do that. What they don't know is that they'll hire this person to work at Horizon because we're so big, and then when another school opens up, then they transfer to there, and then they start again at Horizon. But what they don't know is secretly now, I have trained 10 different people, they've worked with me, and then I've sent them forward through the corporation. They have no idea. So I'm slowly taking over. So this is Laura, so Laura, come on down. And then Laura went on to, after she left me, she went on to be the Grissom choir teacher for several years. How many years did you do that? 8 years, wow. Ooh, wow, time flies. And this year, she's taking a new job, and she's gonna be a music teacher at Moran Elementary, so awesome. Then a few years later, Sarah Fish, come on down, Sarah, from Bethel College. She came to do her student teaching with me. And I don't usually like to have student teachers because I'm kind of a control freak. And sorry, it's always hard to have somebody take over your class because in the end they totally are in charge and they're going to take over. So I'm always like, yeah, I'll take a student teacher. Yeah, I will. So then, like a week before school, I was supposed to be at a luncheon with Sarah, and I forgot. And I was on a golf course instead. So we didn't really hit it off like, She called me and I'm like, yeah, I'm golfing, so yeah, I can't do that. So the first day she came though, and then immediately we started talking to each other, and we are just so similar. Our personalities are similar, and the fun thing that we would always do is we would talk in Russian accents to the children. And so we would teach all of our lessons as we were Russian, and they just thought that was really funny, and I could say things like, you stupid American children. And they just laughed, you know. So no, I really didn't say that. But so I have these awesome friends here, and because they are musicians and music teachers, I just called them and I said, hey, I'm gonna send you some music, and I want you to learn this music and come sing with me. And they did. And we're gonna dedicate this song to a couple of ladies that I could not survive without, and that is Lene Martins and Jeannie Chattleborough. Yay. So not only just on this venue of the cabaret, and along with Suzanne, they were like, yes, you're gonna do a cabaret, and yes, you can do this, and you can learn these songs, and to get everything ready, but just on a daily basis, people always ask, how do you do all the shows you do, and you know, at school and at main stage and flash mobs, and you know, the real reason is because of these two ladies who help me out and keep me organized, and when I have crazy ideas, they figure out how to do that, and I really couldn't do the amazing things that I do and impact people's lives without them, and I don't very often. We're so busy, we're going on to the next thing, that I don't very often get to tell them, so I thought the best way to tell them would be in song. So if you guys can come have a seat over here. They don't want to. You can face us. And soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud, and soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend, when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you, they'll take your soul if you It's a challenge.
I don't think I will.
So as we close, I want to say how thankful I am that I got to spend this time with you. And I know you may not really know it, but it means so much that you guys have supported me, been there for me, and you've come to see shows, you've been my family, you've been my friend, and that's so important. I also want to give a shout out to Josh Engel Sr. back there. He's and the Audubon company, sound company, because he's making a professional recording of this evening, so that is awesome. And then another round of applause for Rob. Yay! And it definitely is going to be a night that I will remember forever. And I really, really just wanted to take the time. I was like, I'm going to take my time and breathe, like Vicky told me, and take it in, because it really has been an amazing evening. It's really been to learn all the words. It's been challenging, but I think it's amazing that at 57 we can still try new things and push ourselves to do things. I have a really, really enjoyable life. I'm really, really blessed, and many times I stop to think about that. After music school was done, a lot of my friends went to New York and they were auditioning for Broadway shows, or they were auditioning for the Metropolitan Opera, and then I would go see them and they would say, oh, you're a sellout and you're just a big fish in a little pond, and it would bother me. I'd be like, oh, maybe I should have done more, or I should have done this, but in the long run, I'm really happy in doing what I'm doing, and I get to be involved with music every day, and I get to sing every day, and I get to perform for awesome people like you. So I'm happy, and that's really all that counts. So tonight I want to leave you with this thought that if you took time every day to make someone happy, whether it's your spouse or your child or someone at work, then that would make you feel special and make you feel happy too. So I think that's really the way to be successful in life, is to make someone happy. The sound of applause is delicious. It's a thrill to have the world at your feet. The praise of the crowd is exciting, but it's not what makes a heart complete. There's one thing you can do for the rest of your days that's worth more than the applause. The screaming crowd, the bouquet. Make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. Make just one heart, the heart you sing to. One smile that cheers you, one face that lights when it nears you, someone you're everything to. Fame, if you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Thank you so much. So, main stage on Main Street. So, two of my favorite things.